You've got the look in your eyes. You're on a mission, burning ambition. You've got your eyes on the prize. You've gotta rise to the challenge. Show 'em what you got. Set them to take what's yours. You are kings now, curse of titans.
Hey everyone, this is Anthony with Tornado Tag Podcast, here with another interview here. This is a little different from what we first. We'll say green, right? That's a term used, right? Green trainee. Been doing it for a little like a couple months now. We'll find out where he started training, how he got into wrestling, and where he performs at, and how it's kind of the whole COVID thing has kind of slowed the process down because of everything going on. So I have on the phone Chris Wynder. Am I saying that right? I'm terrible with names.
Yes,
sorry.
Wynder.
Wynder, perfect.
It's all right.
All right, awesome. So, Chris, where are you from?
I'm from Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. I was born here. I floated back and forth between here and Chicago. So I'm kind of familiar with the area, kind of not. So I do consider this home.
Oh, so when you say you float back and forth in between here and Chicago, were you born and raised here, or were you more raised in Chicago?
More raised here. I have spent some periods of my life there for long periods of years and then come back.
Mm-hmm.
But once I came up to like adulthood, I stopped moving back and forth. I've been permanently here for a while now, and I think I'm going to be here for a while.
Awesome. So how long have you been into professional wrestling, like as a fan?
All my life. I can honestly tell you since a child, my earliest memories is like The Rock and the whole Attitude Era coming into the the ending of the Attitude Era. I remember as like some of the earliest memories. All my life.
You were more of so you came in end of Attitude. What would that be? The Ruthless Aggression Era? Yeah,
just about.
How old are you?
23.
23. All right, little pup yet, still young. It's all right.
Yeah.
So, can you remember your first moment? All right, was wrestling? Before I get into that question, was wrestling always big in your family? Is it something that everyone in the house watched, or was it something you kind of sought after you're on your own, or did someone kind of push you towards it?
Growing up, my brother watched it with me a little bit, and we, typical wrestling kids, you would wrestle around and goof off. And then we kind of like stopped watching it. I didn't really I kind of haven't really watched WWE since Benoit and like, so 08, 07.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I didn't really watch it throughout my later teenage years. But then I don't know, one weekend I was, watching Mr. Perfect reruns of some of his matches and just reignited.
Yeah.
So I've been watching it since then. But, yeah.
Awesome. So, so you and your brother watched it, and then I took a little break in, let's say, 2005-ish, 2004, 2005. I took a break, and I pretty much missed Shawn Michaels' whole third run. I didn't see it. I'm a huge Shawn Michaels fan. But at that time, I was kind of out of WWE, and I was more into like the mixed martial arts scene. I really was into, and I don't know. The old me was very one-track minded. Like I was only into one thing, and I was very closed-minded to everything else. And I've learned to, especially with wrestling and sports, so I kind of learned to get away from that, which is good. Because even growing up, like I was WWE only. I wouldn't flip back and forth between that and WCW. But yeah. So getting out of high school, when did you decide? I want to take on training and do this now for a possible career path or hobby.
It started about, first class October, so about summer before last summer, I should say. I was working at a nursing home, and I was kind of like, I don't want to say depressed, but kind of depressed, like looking around. You deal with a lot of people who are kind of, they look back at their lives and they're kind of depressed, and they would give me advice, like, if I had to do it all over, I would chase what I wanted to. And it ignited me, like, I need to do something with myself and chase a dream, because it's just depressing. It was a very weird environment to live in.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I started watching Mr. Perfect reruns, and then I actually remember watching a match. This is about like All Elite Wrestling's coming about is when I started watching and really getting into wrestling and deciding to chase it. And it was Hangman Adam Page versus Pac at I think it was All In, one of the very first pay-per-views for them.
Mm-hmm.
I remember watching it and thinking, man, if these guys could do it, like what's stopping me? Nothing. And I remember looking around wrestling schools around here, and the closest one was CZW that I could find.
Mm-hmm.
And I started saving up to take bus trips down there and stay for the training itself until I went to my friend's wedding, where I met another trainee, True, named Victor, and he actually introduced me to Sean and everybody and got me into training here.
For True Wrestling.
Yes.
Nice. Yeah, so that's where I met you, was at the True Mill building, but it was during the GSW show, and that's where we kind of met. And
yes, that was a fun time.
Yeah, really fun time, really good show. A lot of super talented people, a lot of people that I heard about for a very long time, and it was the first time actually seeing them perform, so it was really, really cool. It was actually my last wrestling show. That was the last one I got to see before before the world ended, I think. Was it the last one? I don't know if there was an Outbreak one or a PPW in between there, but it was very close. It was very close between there and PPW, but it was a really good time. First time in the building, really cool building, old warehouse looking building, on the top floor. Really, like, I don't know, it's a really neat environment.
Yeah, it's a unique venue. It has a certain feeling to it. Definitely has its own personality. Yeah. I definitely like that entire venue.
Yeah. So kind of what I'm getting here from your story, from what I'm kind of pieced together. So, you were into wrestling as a kid, and then you took a break, and then you kind of had like a resurgence of watching it again, and that kind of sparked the interest to pursue it and do it as a path.
Yeah,
Nice.
I was saying, living in a nursing home, you see a lot of people depressed and kind of, I don't want to say wasted life, but they feel like they wasted life, and it's just like, if you're gonna live this life, you should chase your dream, man.
Yeah, a lot
Whatever
of what
makes
ifs.
you happy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why have that?
Absolutely.
Why not just do it? And, worst comes to worst, I
100%
fail.
Yeah, 100% agree. Now, when you say you have a resurgence, you said you're watching AEW now. Are you watching a little bit of everything? Are you focusing on one promotion? What are you kind of into at the moment?
Right now, even though it's on pause, NWA, I'm loving the whole new NWA field. Being very young and not acquired to that as a child, that's cool to watch. That has a very cool feel to it. I like that.
The studio wrestling.
New Japan's. Yeah, studio wrestling. I appreciate that. New Japan's awesome as always. Nio, still pretty cool, even though they're not really doing too much. Some WE, a lot of luchador stuff. I like a lot of NXT. NXT is really, really cool. I like what Triple H is doing with that whole thing.
Yeah, that
a lot
brand
of good
is
talent
fantastic.
in it too.
Yeah. Who are some of your influences when it comes to wrestling? Like, you watch them and you're like, I want to be that person. I don't want to say you want to copy them when I say be like them, but like, who inspires you the most to maybe say, hey, like, I could work up to this point. I mean, obviously, some people, not everyone can look at Kevin Nash and be like, I want to be Kevin Nash because I'm 5'11" and I'm never going to be a 7-foot tall giant. You know what I mean? Or someone you can kind of look at them and be like, that could be where my wheelhouse there.
Off the top, the three biggest would be my biggest hero is Eddie Guerrero. Fantastic worker, awesome talent. Chris Benoit, fantastic worker, and last but not least, Dynamite Kid. I think a lot of what he did in Japan's awesome. Oh, and Mitsuharu Misawa, he's awesome too. Those four would be the biggest to come to mind.
Awesome. Some
especially Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah.
Big influence, man.
Yeah, I love Eddie. I'm actually trying to find this. They make it Eddie. I like craft beer. We do another podcast with craft beer, and they make it. Eddie and Chavo have their own beer called Los Guerreros beer, and it's really, really hard to find. It's a Mexican lager. It's very, very, very hard to find, but I want to get it so bad.
That is actually awesome. I never knew that.
Yeah. Well, Stone Cold has his beer, the Broken Skull, and then another brewery makes one for Chavo and Eddie, which is it looks fantastic. I haven't tried it yet, but hopefully that's on my list.
I'm definitely going to try to find that and collect that. That's really cool.
Awesome. So let's dive into your first day of training, walk into the doors and kind of put you back in that mind state there. What was it like your first time in the building and walking in and saying like meeting the people for the first time and your first day training? Run us through that motion. For someone who's listening that may be wanting to train, or maybe someone who's been doing it for 20 years, maybe you can relive some moments that they've or some feelings they experienced.
What is your first? It's nerve-wracking. It was very nervous. I had a lot of anxiety going in there because, you don't really know anything. You don't know anybody, and it's a whole new world. Literally, it's a whole different world for anybody who's not in the business or understands it or even trains in it. It's a whole different thing. And it's nerve-wracking at first, and I'm going to tell you something. If anybody who wants to do this, squats. Do your squats. First day going into class, I couldn't walk for a week. I was literally crawling everywhere. I had to call off work for a week. Squats. Do your squats. But it's nerve-wracking.
So you're saying is go in trained. Go in, work out a couple months before you're going to do this, because it's not it's not easy what you're trying to say for the most part.
Yes, it's not easy. Definitely do your squats. If you think you did enough, double it.
Yeah.
And then some. You need to do your squats. And it's nervous because, you're trusting somebody and you don't have that trust yet because it's new to you. So when you're doing something like a suplex, like, you're scared. You're upside down. The human body's not meant to go that way. So you're very nervous a lot of times and everything. But once you get over it, it's like a drug. It's an adrenaline rush, It's exciting. There's nothing like wrestling, in my opinion. And you can never really experience anything like wrestling unless you wrestle.
What was your first bump like when you took it on the mat? Was it everything you expected?
No, it hurt. It's an understatement that I always say, like, there's padding on there, but not really. Like, bumps suck.
Yeah, there's not much padding on there. You're landing on steel on 2x4.
Yeah, if you've never done it before, it sucks. You're literally you're bumping on something solid. It sucks.
I mean, I've never really taken a bump on a wrestling ring. I honestly never trained or anything. But every time I go to a wrestling show and I bring someone who it's their first time there, I like how a lot of people think that it's all padding. It's a giant trampoline. There's tons of springs in there, so it absorbs everything, and it's a big, nice, soft, cushiony landing. You can do a giant flop on it, and it doesn't hurt at all. And I'm like, boy, that's wrong. I always say,
yeah, no.
even the pro level, man, it's not easy like that. But I always tell them, look at the corner, especially indie shows, because maybe sometimes indie shows aren't, I'm not saying as good, but they're not the same style of rings as like WWE or what you watch on TV. They're a little better at hiding some of the ring parts, but like indie shows, right where the turnbuckle meets, sometimes for the most part you can see a little bit of wood, maybe some of the strings holding the apron on or the mat, but you for the most part can see how much padding is really on the ring, and that's usually your tell sign of how stiff that ring's going to be or how much it's going to suck for those guys that night. So I always like look at the corner and they're like, what's that little black? I'm like, that's the pad. They're like, there's nothing there. I'm like, oh yeah, it's all steel, it's all wood. And they're like, holy shit. I'm like, yeah, it's gonna hurt really bad.
Yeah, definitely does. And every ring's different. Like, if you ever noticed before shows, before a fan's ring comes in, a lot of guys are bumping around the ring to test it out and feel it, because every ring, that canvas, it's even like a millimeter, inch, or whatever thin. It's very thin, but each ring's different.
Yeah.
Everyone has a different setup.
And there's so much trust, man. I know. I first time I ever seen at a show where they actually took some of the ring apart and put it back together was at that GSW show, because I guess the one turnbuckle, I don't know. Some people were on the ropes, and the next thing I know, the turnbuckle was being tightened, or I don't know if they were tightening or loosening it. But then like dudes are hitting those ropes at 100 miles an hour as hard as they possibly can, and it's like, man, that's a lot of trust there, because if that rope snaps, you're going hard off that ring. Like, it's gonna hurt real bad, because people are running full steam and hitting those ropes. Ropes, we'll say, cable as hard as they possibly can, and you're putting a lot of trust in the guy who put that ring together to not get dumped on your head onto a hardwood floor.
Yeah, we have no padding on that floor. It's just, like you said, hardwood, just straight there.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was really fun to see, and that was one of the first shows I seen where the ring was a lot lower. It was a smaller ring, so it was a lot less. I guess we'll say gravity. It's not as high up, where it's like it's a little bit of a lower style ring. If you were standing,
it's very personal.
Yeah, if you were standing from the outside looking in, I think the ring would probably come up to your thighs if you're lucky, your knees or your thighs. It's not a high profile ring.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
That's actually the ring we train in. Every class, Monday and Tuesday.
Nice. Now, is training has officially stopped now because of everything, right?
Yeah, technically we're considered a gym. So, and we're like, I guess gym's like the closest thing to luxury without being a luxury. So we're one of the last things to open up if we ever do. If this virus ever stops.
What have you been doing to stay ready when everything does come back up?
I'm still working out regularly, squats every day, push-ups every day on top of my regular workouts. And I actually have an extra mattress that I covered in a tarp and taped the back of. And it's actually like a flip pad. So I'm still working on trying to get flips and back flips and all that done, but I'm still able to do some of my bumps. Is it as good as a thing? No, but, it's still something better than sitting there and just doing nothing.
Yeah. Now, being a newer guy, I know you trained for a short period of time. Have you gotten any of your ribs? Has anyone messed with you yet? Gotten any pranks done to you? Because I kind of like the newbie hazing.
I got ribbed a couple of times. I can tell you a good one. My very first time, it was a true wrestling show. I had maybe 2 classes in my belt, if that. And they told me to go around, introduce yourself to everybody, and talk to the guys. So Ethan Page is there, and I go up to talk to him. And he's the very first person I talked to, and I'm a very awkwardly social person. Mm-hmm. So it was weird for me to go out of my comfort zone and like try to talk to people in the conversation. I went up to him, and I was like, "Don't freak out, just be cool, be cool, be cool." And I shook his hand, and as soon as we touched each other's hands, and he said hi to me, I panicked. So I was like, "Hi, my name's Christopher. I'm a student here. I don't know what to do right now." And he looked at me. And then he looked down for a second and looked back at me. And I knew then I messed up. It was like a shark who smelled blood. Like he smelled the green on me. And I said, okay. So I was like, he's like, oh, all right. So I was like, do you like wrestling? Panicking still. And he's like, yeah. No, actually, no, I don't like wrestling. I hate it. I was like, oh, all right. What's like wrestling for, TNA? And he's like, I hate it. I absolutely hate it. He's like, wrestling's no fun. Don't do it. And I was like, oh, all right. Do you have any advice? He goes, nope.
Quit.
He just looked at me. And I was like, oh, man, I messed up. I don't know what to do right now. So like, I already took an L. I was like, I'm just going to awkwardly walk away. I was like, thank you so much for your time. And I'm sorry. But I ended up tweeting later to him on Twitter, and he was cool with me. He accepted it. He knew I was green. He was messing with me. But,
yeah,
man, I was so awkward out. I know he told my trainers. I know they know out there. Oh.
I actually seen him wrestle at an Outbreak show. He wrestled with at the Impact PPW show. It was awesome.
I finally just got my license and car to hit up shows outside of just like just being a fan. Mm-hmm. And Outbreak's definitely somewhere I want to go.
I'm not sorry, not Outbreak. PPW. It was a PPW show. I like Outbreak PPW a lot as well.
I haven't been to either of those, and I finally have the chance to go. And virus.
Yeah.
Coronavirus.
It's shutting everything down, man. It's shutting everything down. Now, was that GSW show your first show where you were able to work and do stuff?
No, that would actually be my third.
Oh, wow. Okay.
My third.
Do you remember your first match?
And
I hope you remember. It's only a couple months.
Yeah. My first match I would be manager to Dan, and that would be against him and Trajan at Bumps and Bruises show.
Yeah. He's probably one of the dudes in the indie scene that I'm a fan of the most right now. I'm a really big Trajan fan.
Trajan's awesome.
Yeah, really
out
good
of
dude.
Everybody who ever hooked me up or helped me so far in wrestling, Trajan has been nothing but the man and been completely patient with me. Trajan is awesome.
Yeah. Who now is that kind of your role as of now, because you're still kind of newer, just doing like a manager role?
Yeah, we were actually talking about one of the shows that were supposed to happen during this virus. Was supposed to be my first debut match as a wrestler, but of course, virus hits. So as of right now, yeah, I'm just managing, which is cool. I like it. Making me get comfortable out there, and I enjoy it a lot.
It was going to be one of those like closed circuit ones where they just film it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That would have been... I don't understand why they don't let let that happen. But I don't know. I get it. If you're it's one of those things like businesses can be open, like Walmart can stay open, but a mom and pop business who does the same thing can't be. So it's like the big corporations can make money, but the little ones can't, which kind of sucks, in my opinion. Like, you can go and watch AEW and WWE, and they can have their guys there, but like local scenes can't do and just film. You know what I mean? So it just kind of sucks.
Which is who needed the most.
Yeah, but
the local scene needs it the most.
But I also get too that like those guys, like the bigger companies, can sit there and pay for a lot of testing and get doctors there to make sure every single time someone walks in the door, there's a test being done, and maybe a lot of local places can't do that, so you're running risks. So I get that aspect as well. So it is what it is. It's like a double-edged sword.
Very weird time we live in right now.
Yeah.
It's
No one's prepared for this. It's kind of something. It's new for everybody. You know, it's something that no one really anticipated, or no one knows what to do or how to handle it. You know.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. So, who are some of the guys that you've seen work so far? Some people that you're really big fans of, or are you enjoy what they do? Are some guys you look up to now since training?
Trajan. Trajan's awesome. I love Trajan. Shout out to him. There's a lot. The cast masters are awesome. My trainers, they're amazing. I love watching them. I learned something new from the match, even without them explaining something to me. I always learn something new watching them. I love them. Ace Austin's awesome. Very humble. I like him. And Tony Deppen. Tony Deppen's really cool. I love watching him and some of the stuff he does. He's very different.
Yeah, he's
very
fantastic.
different. Like that.
I've never seen him wrestle live yet. I have to definitely get to see that. But I'm a big fan of his.
I gotta watch him wrestle. I gotta see him twice now. Twice. It was awesome. He's awesome. I like him.
What matches did you see?
It was him versus Chris Statlander, which was a really great match. That was at True. And then the most recent one was him versus Ace Austin at True, which was a really great match.
You know what? I do remember that match. I do remember the poster for that, and I was like, man, I got to get out there, and I never did because I'm an idiot. I should have definitely.
I actually was in charge of filming the hand cam right, like 5 feet away from it. Oh, such a great match.
Yeah.
So good.
I seen Ace wrestle for Outbreak right before he got snatched up by Impact. He wrestled for Outbreak, and he wrestled against who did he wrestle against that night? I don't remember now. It was a great match though, but a really, really nice guy. And then we talked about on the show when I interviewed Trajan about the match he had where he jumped off the backboard. And that kind of was like his internet breaking moment that kind of got him some eyes, you know?
Yeah, that was an awesome video. I saw that. That was really cool.
Yeah. It's one of those things, man, where someone can show up at your show, take a photo or take a video, and the next thing you know, it's like, there you are. You're moving up, you know?
Yeah.
So
that was right there in Burke, too.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, man, the Pennsylvania scene is fantastic. There's so much cool stuff in the area when it comes to local wrestling. People don't realize how much of a mecca, you know, Pennsylvania is when it comes to professional wrestling.
Oh, for sure. Definitely. Yeah. Especially for the indie scene, for sure.
Tons of stuff. I mean, for a long time, Outbreak, they used the Hamburg Fieldhouse. That was a WWE venue. Like Andre the Giant wrestled in there. Hogan wrestled there. You know what I mean? And now they're venues that, you know, local indie scenes are wrestling out of. So there's so much cool history. Like PPW's gym, so many cool guys have gone through there. I mean, you know, AJ Styles wrestled for PPW at one point in time, just kind of showing up as a guest spot. Like tons of Nyla was there right before she got signed. Tons of like really, really good people came out of this area. So, and they wrestle, and they're from Jersey, they're from Maryland, they're from New York, but you know they come in, they work Pennsylvania a lot because Pennsylvania is a pretty good area for indie wrestling scene.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. So, what are some of your future goals when it comes to wrestling once this all kind of blows over and starts back up?
I just want to finish training, honestly. I just want to get out there, and you know, I'm just so happy that wrestling has given me something, and I just want to get back to wrestling. Mm-hmm. And you know, I just want to get out there and get back to the community, get back to wrestling, and just, you know, put on shows.
What is the process for being a trainee at your school? Like, do you have to do so many hours? Do you have to take, like, is there a requirement, or is it pretty much when the coaches feel you're ready, they let you loose? How does that process go about?
From my point of view, it's been wrestling's biggest thing is trust, and that's something I learned. And they ease your way into it. So they slowly have to gain your trust to put you in that position where you're going to be able to, they can put you on a show to get actual experience. Mm-hmm. So it ease your way into it. So like for me, example, doing a manager thing. My main thing is I want to wrestle, but to get me to that point, they're easing me into it by being a manager. Yeah. So once they feel like your bumps are okay, now as a manager, maybe every show you have, you might do a bump or two. So you get comfortable doing bumps in them. And then eventually you're doing a couple more things than bumping. And then before you know it, you're an actual wrestler. So they kind of just ease your way into it. Like the very first thing I ever did as a manager is I came out for like all of 5 seconds and took a pile driver, and that was it. I was out. That was my whole thing. Mm-hmm. But because I did that, I got to go to more shows outside of just true and bumps and bruises. So they kind of ease your way into it very slowly, bit by bit.
Yeah. That's interesting. I never knew how that worked. Like, you need at least so many hours of training, or you need so many of this or so many of that, or if it was like a thing where your head trainer was like, you know what, I think this guy's good, you can go for it. You know what I mean? I didn't know how that process worked.
Well, we have 3 trainers, and the head trainer is Sean, and from what I understand, I guess as soon as all of them start talking and they feel ready, then they push you. If they don't feel you're ready, you're definitely not doing it.
Yeah, no, 100%. They don't want anyone getting hurt.
Absolutely, safety is always the most biggest concern.
Yeah, that's interesting. I that's definitely something I'm very I was always interested in that process and how it went through. So what is your ultimate goal? Like, are you looking to add muscle mass? Are you looking to be more of a luchador style where you're more doing the flips and the acrobatic stuff? What style are you trying to craft yourself into, or what type of character or build are you looking to do?
I want to I guess I want to be able to be a wrestler for everybody. Mm-hmm. I want to be able to make wrestling a career one day. So I take it very seriously. I want to be able to, if by the miracle of whatever, hard work or determination, whatever, I get some type of success that Cornette gets to the point where he can see my matches and talk to me, I don't want Cornette to crap on me. But I also want to be able to
you're very high
on the times,
you're very high on Cornette's opinion.
Yes. I want to be able to be cool at Cornette, but I want Metzler to also like me.
Oh, man. Yeah,
I want something for everybody.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, I respect Cornette, but I think sometimes I think a lot of some of his stuff, his views bother me. Like, come on, man. It's like, just because you weren't there at that point in time doesn't mean everything sucks. Like, he just hates on everything.
You gotta admit, though, once he gets going, man, some of the stuff he says just gets you off guard. It's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah. When he sometimes sneaks a racist one in there. Or a sexist, homophobic one.
Man.
And you're like, come on, Cornette. Come on, man. I'm trying to be a fan of you here. You're killing it.
It's hard sometimes. It really is.
Yeah.
Especially when, like, the whole NWA thing, I tell all my friends, yeah, Cornette's awesome. And he does the NWA thing. I'm like, oh, how can I defend this? Oh, come on.
Now, I get that, like, I guess that would have been acceptable fine, and I don't know. But it's just tough. It's really tough. Like, sometimes I watch those Dark Sides of the Ring, and I'm like, man, this dude is so knowledgeable. Like, it's hard to sit there and say this guy isn't good, and then you listen to some of the stuff that comes out of his mouth, and you're like, man, how can I support you right now? You're an idiot. Like, what you're doing is you're shooting yourself in the foot. It's like such a double-edged sword.
Yeah. Hypocritical too a lot of times.
Yeah.
He'll say something and you go back and watch like his career and like he did the same thing. It's like, bro, what are you doing? Yeah. Come on, Cornette.
Yeah. It's like it was fine when you did it, but it's not fine now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think a lot of wrestling fans get skewed with that too, where they're like, oh, this new gimmicky shit is stupid. But then like they're like, I'm a huge fan of this. It's like, well, is it one or the other? Are you a fan of it or you not? Like, you don't like it when this guy does it, but you're a fan of when this guy does it. Like, where do you lie here?
Right. Wrestling's so opinionated. There's no like ground rules or anything. Or like this is the way things should be. And I feel like because it's so opinionated, everyone's just constantly butting heads. I'm like, this and that.
It's
and Cornette has no problem being opinionated. No problem at all.
Yeah, that's kind of silly to me sometimes. It's like, really? You're gonna get out of shape over that? Like, just let people work.
Yeah, definitely.
So, who are some of the guys on TV that you look forward to watching? Like, you're like, oh, I can't wait till they're on again.
Right now, Trevor Murdoch's awesome. Love watching his stuff. Eli Drake, just, I don't know what it is about him, but when he speaks, you just want to listen. He has like that Ric Flair kind of vibe. You just listen when he talks because something witty's going to come out. I like Eli. Aleister Black, he's really awesome. I like his whole style. Who else? Nick Aldis, he's awesome. I like him. He's just a very interesting character. I like how he's heel, but he's not heel at the same time. He's very cool. There's a lot. There's a lot of wrestling to digest right now.
Mm-hmm.
No, not now because of the virus going on, but there's a lot. I like everything. I will give anything a try and watch it.
Awesome. So, do you have like a wrestling page that people can go follow, or just kind of under your personal account at the moment?
Just my personal account at the moment. Maybe in the future, if this ever happens again, I can definitely give you guys something out there. But if not, catch me on a show here in Pennsylvania. I'll be around. You'll definitely see me on a show.
Awesome, man.
Sure to say hi.
What all shows do you work for that people can go check out?
You can catch me out at True. I work as staff at True. Bumps and Bruises, you can catch me out at a show. Currently, that's it right now. But there'll be more. More things will come up.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate your time, and I hope to hear back from you again in maybe a couple months to kind of get the next update on your wrestling career and see your next progress, and maybe you've experienced some new things there.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for having me, man.
No
I
problem,
appreciate
man. Yeah, spread the word. I'm always trying to get new people on. So if you know anyone who would be interested, I'm always down to have more conversations with people in the business and kind of hear their stories and how they came about it.
Most definitely.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for your time, and this has been Tornado Tag Podcast interview with Chris Wynder. I hope I nailed it again. I'm sorry. I'm terrible.
It's all good.
All right, man. We'll see you guys next time. We're out.